Welcome into another episode of Collective Knowledge. I'm your host, Shane Barrett. You can find me on Twitter at FFShaneB, and this is being streamed on the Fantasy Football Collective YouTube. So if you like this show, please like and subscribe. And joining me tonight is a good friend of mine and featured Devy writer for Fantasy Pros, so he knows his stuff, co-host of the Devy Royale and Super FF Bros shows, and co-owner of Triple Play Fantasy. It is Kevin Coleman, who you can find on Twitter at theboys_22. Kevin, how you doing tonight, buddy?
Hey, I'm doing good, man. I'm glad to get on here. I know we scheduled this I don't know, 3 months ago, but I remember it. I'm glad we had to schedule this out a little bit. It tends to get hectic there, but I'm glad to come on, and I appreciate everything you guys do, and obviously I have a lot of respect for you and everything there, and so I'm glad to be on here with you.
I appreciate that, man. Yeah, I enjoyed when I went on your show in the off season, and have enjoyed again chatting with you just throughout time, if you will. I don't know how to word that, but just getting to know you and chat with you is always a good time for me. So yeah, glad to have you on, um, and chat a little bit about you. So
Yeah.
uh, before we get into our questions, we got to pay the bills, and that is with our Thrive Fantasy. So hold on a second. Let me make sure I do this right. Bam. There we go. So Thrive Fantasy, come prop up on Thrive Fantasy this football season. It's a daily fantasy sports and esports app for player props. You choose 10 out of the 20 available player props to build your lineup. Each prop is assigned a different fantasy value for both the over and the under based on how likely it is to hit. Hit the most props, rack up the most points, and you win a share of the prize pool. And it's really easy to win because even I can win money at this. Last week, for week 10, just wrapped up, and I think I had put in $6 and the two free rolls for the Chargers and the Jaguars that they do every week, and I ended up winning $15. So I'm having a pretty good year on there. So if you want to join me in that, use promo code FFShaneB on the Thrive Fantasy app on the App Store, Play Store, or by visiting their website, www.thrivefantasy.com. Sign up and prop up today. All right, thanks, Kev, for sitting through that horrible ad read. But let's hop into the questions, man. So I always start off with this one. When was your first fantasy football league?
Yeah, so this was 2006 was my first league. So, and I was in high school, and this is old school league. So we actually did an in-person draft, and me and my buddy were co-owners of this league. And I remember this. We had an in-person draft. I was in high school with a bunch of older guys because they just kind of invited us. And I just remember 2006 because you know who our first pick was Drew Bledsoe. He played for the Cowboys. And he had just come off a pretty good season to a 5. And in that season, he got replaced by my guy, Tony Romo, in that league. But I remember we didn't know much about it. There wasn't social media and everything's kind of elevated what fantasy sports was. Like we drafted a bunch of Cowboys. Like I just remember we were big Cowboy fans. And that's what we did because we didn't really know what we were doing. I just remember drafting, Bledsoe and all these guys. And Yes, we did not have a good year in 2006 for that because that was not, Romo came in and he played well. But I just remember that. I just remember going to someone's house and I was like, what the hell is this live draft? Okay, let's go. And I remember drafting Drew Bledsoe and then he got hurt and he just really was erratic, didn't play very well. And so that, that set me up for a lifetime of knowing what fantasy sports was about. Going to get disappointed and just drafting the wrong guy. And then who takes a quarterback in the first round, you idiot? Like that's the
total
thing
rookie move.
A rookie mistake.
So is that league still going?
No, that was just a one quarterback, a standard just redraft league. But I am still friends with the guys in that league, and we kind of play periodically. It depends if it's redraft only. Those guys are old school. Yeah. There's no dynasty or anything like that. But no, it's not going anymore. But I still have friends from that league.
Nice. So what is your longest running league?
So I have a Devy league from 2012. So that's basically. It's pretty long, 9 years. It's been going pretty strong. I would say that there's about 5 members in there that are from 2012, and then the rest we've kind of had to replace and go through, which is pretty common in this in a kind of area. But yeah, so 2012 is my oldest league, and for like a Devy kind of there, and I have one really strong Devy league that this is our 4th year. We haven't lost any members.
Nice.
So that's been good. Yeah. So I've liked that. I like that league, especially with Devy, because it can be very turnover and people quit very easily when they don't know what they're doing. So 4 years with nobody changing has been fun.
Yeah, that's impressive. I'm only in the one Devy league right now, which probably surprises you. Need to get in a couple more, but I enjoy that a lot. What are the league settings for those 2 Devy leagues?
Yeah, so there's 2 different ones. So the oldest one is actually a 1 quarterback league. So that's kind of 2012 kind of tends to be that. So it's a 1 quarterback, it's a half PPR league actually, and it's just a regular settings, 12 team, 1 quarterback, half PPR. The other one that we started was a super flex league. So it's super flex, 12 team, tight end premium, and it is 9 starters only. So it's a little less than most people have 10 now. Yeah, most people have 10 or 11. This one's only 9. So I felt maybe that's why the league has actually lasted as long as it has, because there's less. You can kind of get away with some mistakes in terms of Devy, like if you don't get some guys you draft wrong. And so like it's less kind of room for error. Some guys wouldn't like that, but those tend to be the league settings there that we play with. That's not necessarily my favorite league settings, but those for Devy seem to be pretty standard.
Gotcha. So what are your favorite league settings?
So if we're not talking Devy, we're just strictly talking, hey, fantasy, like, get out of Devy.
Here's how I normally frame this question, because I'm in way too many leagues, and I don't know if you are also in way too many leagues. But the way I frame this question is, let's say you can join one more league, and only one more league, and it's got to be your favorite settings. What are those settings?
So for me, my favorite set, 14 teams. I like 14 teams. I think it adds a little bit of more competitiveness, and you got to know what you're doing. Super flex. So 14 team super flex, which adds a little bit more wrinkle there. Has to be PPR, because if it's not PPR, I just don't have fun. I understand other guys that play other stuff, but for me, PPR is the most fun. I think a PPR allows you to create your teams better, and just kind of you get to create a different roster if you want. So you have that, and it has to be tight end premium, some kind of premium. So for me, I like 1.5 tight end premium. I don't like the 2, but I do like the 1.5. But it has to be some type of tight end premium, super flex. It has to be 14 teams or higher. I'm in one. I wouldn't recommend it being every year, but I'm in a 16 team super flex. And that is tight end premium. And that's a ton of fun, but we've had so much turnover because I think we've probably replaced 13 owners out of the 16, but we've kept it going. But it's every year it gets tough because guys that never jumped into a 16, and like, how quarterbacks are, and they're so fluctuated. So every year it gets more and more tough, but we're holding strong because and I won that league the first year. So I've kind of like, hey, we got to keep this thing going. But to me, 14 teams are good. Super flex, tight end premium.
Okay. I like it. I'm in a 14 team super flex league, and I started off really strong, but then Nick Chubb got hurt, Kareem Hunt got hurt, and my quarterbacks are not very good. But the rest of my team is solid, and it's dynasty. So I'm like, I think I can make this team work. We'll see though.
Yeah. I think what you said, like, to me, like I lost CMC Kittle the last 2 years on my 16 team league, and so that's brutal because what are you supposed to do, right? Like, it's just one of those things where you're just like, well, that sucks. I mean, there's not a lot you can replace. Like, I was starting Singletary and McKinnon in a couple of weeks this week, and that's just is what it is, Yeah, this year, yes. Yeah,
that hurts.
Injuries,
I feel your pain though. I don't know if you saw it yesterday, but I tweeted out I started Baker, Preston Williams, Jalen Rager, Hawkinson, and the Browns defense in a league. And I think there was one more. It was awful.
Oh, I did. It was like 30 points or something like that.
Yeah, it was awful.
Hey, you know what, man? Sometimes, like, I don't know if you do this. Me and Christian Williams were talking about this recently. Sometimes I don't even check my league scores because I know based on, like, I'm like, I look at the numbers and I'm like, yeah, that's gonna be bad for me in that league that I know I started those dudes. So I know I'm gonna lose. I'm just gonna move on. I'm just gonna, I'll just check the standings after. No, I lost. I'm not even gonna look at the scores because it's not worth it. It's just gonna give me a bad mood.
Yeah. Nope. That makes sense. So, when did you start making content for fantasy football?
Oh man, I started in March, kind of like everybody last year with COVID hit, and we kind of got stuck in that, I would say start as I wrote an article, and it was about J.K. Dobbins, and I talked about him, and I sent it to a couple of places that had openings, and they told me my writing wasn't good enough, and they said, hey, you might not want to be in this space, like this isn't maybe for you. And one company is pretty big that it basically told me like, hey, this probably isn't for you. And honestly, I could have been discouraged, but I didn't have shit else to do because I was at home anyway. So I was like, you know what? I'll just wing it. And so, I got on basically in March, but I really didn't start really writing until like that summer for Hammercast and David and those guys because they had started something new. And I really liked David. And I was like, yeah, I'll wing it. And they gave me a lot of freedom to kind of do whatever I wanted and just talk about it.
Awesome. I love that. So, obviously COVID made you start, correct? Anything else that made you like really want to jump in?
I think I wasn't really. I kind of was in the fantasy space. John Bauer at all. I know he like from Dynasty Theory and those guys. Like I was in a league with him, so that's why I kind of got to know him for a couple years. And I knew that he did stuff on podcasts and stuff. I really wasn't even on fantasy Twitter until last March. I didn't even like. I knew of John, but I didn't really like go on to Twitter. Like I didn't care. I was very busy. And so like me going on here arguing with people, like it wasn't really kind of my thing. So I created this account. I said, you know what, like why don't I try it? And then when March hit, didn't have much to do. And I love college football. And I always write like pieces for my league. So I used to always do like Devy, like league wrap ups, league updates. So like I knew I could do it. But essentially, I just said, you know what? I think this could be interesting. And I loved college football, as you know, as we talked about college football.
Yeah.
And so I just started writing about Devy people. And I've been playing Devy for a long time. So I do have the background knowledge. It's just I never really had the time. And so I think for me, it was like, oh, and now it's turned into like, now I make time for it. And so now it's kind of turned into like an actual, I don't want to say career, but it's something that I enjoy. It's like a hobby that I feel like that I can help people with. And that's why I really, really like starting it. Like to me, I have much more fun finding players for other people than I do playing in leagues now. Like, and I truly mean that. Like, I like fantasy, but like I really, really enjoy just finding guys and saying, "Hey, man, you helped me with that. You found this guy. Hey, I can't believe you found this sleeper." Like those kind of things actually makes it worth it to me. And like I enjoy playing, but not as much.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. Like when someone DMs me, like, hey, you won me my matchup because you told me to start this person. It's like, yes, sweet vindication. Like, I don't care if I won my matchups. I helped you win. That's what matters.
Yeah, I mean, I think it does, right? I mean, I think it just depends on what you're here for. Like, and anybody can really do what we do. And to be honest, like, we're not special. Like, I'm not special at any means. Like, I just think if you're willing to make the time for it and talk and be there for people and kind of do that and find your own wording and space, right? Like, find what you're here for. I think that's tough to do. There's a lot of people out there. So I just always found like, hey, I needed something to do, and then I think I'm good at this, so I'm just gonna go for it.
Yeah. You actually answered our next question, which was what was your first piece of content? And it was an article on J.K. Dobbins, correct?
Yeah, it was like why he should be the 101 in Superflex rookie draft. So I talked about how talented I thought he was. Obviously, I felt like that could have been this year, but he got hurt. So I guess you can blame me out there, everybody, for jinxing him there. But I still think he's very talented. Like I still think I found him there. So yeah, that was my first one. And then I think my second one was about why Justin Jefferson will be the best wide receiver of the rookie class last year. So I hit on that one. So I got that one correct. I got the receipts for that one. So those are my first two articles in this space.
Nice. Yeah, I am blaming you for J.K. Dobbins because I have him in my home league, dynasty league, and then like a super huge dynasty league with IDP where he was going to be my RB2 behind Zeke. And I was just like, like I had Dak, I still have Dak and T-Law, and then I had Zeke, and J.K. Dobbins was lined up to be that RB2, and now he's gone.
Yes. So I'm going to pour one out. Next year, baby. Next year, come back strong. You're going to be that guy that we all hope.
I agree. Okay, so last fantasy question for now. What is your favorite thing about the fantasy football community?
I think, for me, it's the relationships I've built and the people. Like, for instance, like David and Eric from Triple Play, we've become very close friends and good people there. Nick from PTW is someone I'm very close with. The guys I do the Devy Royale with, Jacob, like, I think a lot of them, like, these are guys I talk to and they're friends of mine. And that's kind of, I think the best about the community. There can be some issues with the community that, that is what it is, but I'm too old for that shit. So it's like, hey, you deal with that. I got 2 kids and trying to make sure are good people there and stuff. Like, that's my mindset. And so for me, it's just like, can I go build good relationships with some people? But even then, like, I'm still my own person. Also, like, I don't try to like, I'm not clicky. I use that word tonight. I think I made some people mad, but like, that's not really who I am. I like just seeing good content people. Like Alex Caruso is a kid that I really like and enjoy. And he invited me on a podcast recently or a couple months ago. And he's really blown up. And I love that. Like, and I don't talk to Alex every day, but I do like the content that he puts out. Like,
Yeah.
and that to me is like more important is like, hey, I'm just who I am. I definitely probably not everybody's cup of tea, even though like I don't really try to tweet anything that's negative. I try to be as positive as I can and just put out information. But definitely, I just try to stay away from clicks. I try to stay away from that. Just be good people and just try to have that community part.
Yeah. No, I completely agree with you, man. And it like you said, it's got its low points, but the people and the relationships have all been
Mm-hmm.
awesome. Like I've made some of my best friends probably for life from fantasy football Twitter.
Yeah,
So
and I think that's cool. Like I'm gonna be talking when I'm done creating content, which whenever that is, which will probably at some point in my life, because I have kids and they're growing up and whatever. Like these people are gonna stay with me. I'm not leaving. It's just
yeah,
that my content probably will go away, but my opinions won't. My friends won't. I'll still be messaging people and doing those things
yeah.
and trying to do that. I think people that are getting into this, I try to give them advice like, hey, just be yourselves and kind of do your
Mm-hmm.
stuff there. I'm not in a ton of groups. I'm actually don't think I'm in any anymore. I just don't have the time.
I
And
know
I
you're
always
not.
felt bad. Yeah, I know. I always feel bad because I just don't have the time to kind of talk. Like some of those groups, how it is. Like they talk forever, and I'm just like, listen, guys, like I can't hit these notifications. Like I just feel bad. And so like I think you just have to decide what you're here for. Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
what you're here for. Like, what are you here for? Content and stuff to make friends. I think it's very clear that you have to have a defined path, and I think that's important.
totally. All right, so tell us a little bit about yourself outside of fantasy football. What do you do? You've talked about your kids. How old are
Yeah,
they? Kind of
yeah.
throw out some.
I'm a teacher by day, so I teach high school. So I teach AP U.S. history, AP European history, AP Psych. So
Nice.
I pretty much just teach AP all day. I used to be a varsity coach. I coached football. I coached basketball. I coached volleyball, boys and girls. I had kids, and my wife said you got to pick a sport. So I coached varsity basketball for 8 years, and I retired this year. So I basically just I took a step away. My kids are getting older. I have a 4-year-old girl, almost 5, and almost 3. So it was getting to that time where a lot of stuff was taking me away time from them. And they're the first and most important thing in my life.
Absolutely.
Coaching them, being around them. And I will say, like, COVID did help in a way. And it's as sad as it was, and COVID was awful, is I got to spend more time with them. And so it actually helped me have like a better relationship with them. Like, cause I was around them
Yeah.
all the time, like working, coaching, you don't realize how much time you're away.
Yeah.
So, and then besides that, I just like playing. I love golf. I play a lot of golf. I
Okay.
try to get my kids involved in sports the most I can. I still help. I help with the Boys and Girls Club here for basketball a couple
Nice.
nights a week. I go it's free. They just come and I coach them and we have some fun and we play. So basically sports. And then my wife, obviously, we're here or there. But really, I'm pretty boring, Shane. I like college football. I like sports and I like my family. That's pretty much it. And then I'd love to teach and be around kids and help them. That's basically my life.
Dude, I don't think that's boring. I think that's amazing.
I appreciate it. Teaching's hard right now. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
it's been very challenging this year, the last couple of years, but this year, it's been tough. But all the teachers out there, just keep going. It's going to get better at some point. I think
Yeah.
it's been very challenging to have them in the classroom. So, and that's the other thing too. Like I'm dealing with kids that are sophomores that some can't read. And
Yeah.
so it's like, hey, yeah, you might not like my cute quarterback rankings, but I'm dealing with real life shit. Like I'm trying to get this kid in my second period to actually do his work and actually care about things outside of his phone. Like,
Yeah.
and so that's one thing that it helps me realize, like, yeah, quarterback rankings are great, but like trying to make sure this kid has something skill based, that's more important.
Totally. Totally. That's extremely commendable of you, if you ask me. So you kind of answered it a little bit with that last question, but tell us more about your hobby of golf and any other hobbies that you have outside of fantasy football. What's your handicap? What's your best
Oh,
score?
yeah, we don't want to talk about handicap. I would say when
Hey,
I
I
was
can
playing,
guarantee you're probably 10 times better than mine.
when I when I was playing pretty much a lot during like the pandemic, because our golf course stayed open around here. So like and I have a membership out here. So like I was playing a lot. I think my best was 86
Okay,
on a round, like, and it wasn't
that's
bad, but
respectable.
it wasn't bad. Honestly, like hobbies outside is I just play with my kids. Like I try to like basically we go places. I try to get them involved as much as I possibly. Trips everywhere. Like every weekend, we try to go to the beach. We try to go. Gas is getting kind of expensive, but the biggest thing is like trying to go places. So just get
Yeah,
them more involved, seeing things, going to football games, going to basketball games with them. Just trying to get them more involved in doing things, and just teaching my kid math, reading, writing, all that kind of stuff. Like right now, I literally spend 80% of my time trying to just be in my kid's life. Because when I grew
awesome.
up, I didn't have a dad growing up. My mom was a single mom, and she worked two jobs and basically raised me and just tried to do that. And I always have felt like, hey, when I become a dad, I'm going to make sure I'm there more. And just being present matters. You know how it is with
Yeah,
kids. Like you just got to be there. Like it's simple.
yeah,
And as a teacher and as a coach, I see how bad it is for kids when their parents aren't there. And so like that's made me really recognize like, hey, I got to make sure if I can't coach, I got to be with them. That's fine with me because that's the most important thing.
yeah, absolutely. Alrighty, well, let's rock it and roll into rapid fire. All right, favorite NFL team?
Dallas Cowboys all the way.
Love it. Favorite sport that's not football?
Oh, basketball.
Love it. Favorite food?
Yeah, this was I saw this one. I know I'm not a big of a food guy, but I'm going to say cheesecake. Strawberry cheesecake is my favorite
Ooh,
food.
that's a good one.
Yes.
All right, favorite sports movie?
Remember the Titans.
Great movie. I actually watched it last weekend because I kept seeing TikToks of it, and I was like, I gotta watch this. It's been too long. Favorite non-sports movie?
Oh, favorite non-sports movie for me, Iron Man, because I'm a big Marvel guy, and Iron
Nice.
Man kind of started it all. So I'm gonna go
Yep,
with Iron Man on that one.
love that. Favorite band?
All right, don't make fun of me here. Red Hot Chili Peppers is my
I'm
favorite
not
band.
gonna make fun of you. That's a great choice.
All right, yeah, I know. I always get some Snickers there and stuff like that. My favorite non-band is Taylor Swift. That's my girl. I just like to point that out.
Love it. Have you listened to her new album?
I did. I listened to a couple. I listened to a couple songs. I'm
Yeah,
not as huge, but I like Taylor. I think she's a good artist.
I do too. My it was funny. We made a rule where our kids get to pick the songs that we listen to when we're in the car on Saturdays because if not, they will incessantly ask us, "Can we listen to this? Can we listen to this? Can we listen to this?" And it's like, "We've listened to this song 5 times in the last 12 hours. No, we cannot listen to this." So, we did that and it was the first time like we got in the car Saturday and my wife was going to put on the new Taylor Swift album and I was like, and then my 3-year-old asked, "Can we listen to this?" And I was like, "Technically, it's her day." And she's like, "Dang it, I've been waiting all week for this." So we finally listened to it on Sunday, and it's pretty good.
Yeah, no, it is good. I think it is good. And oh, yeah, the kids' music, man, that's a good rule. I like that rule. I'm so sick of listening to Lorax in my car. I'm gonna be honest with you. It's getting to the point where I'm gonna lose my mind here.
Well, the good news is the kids have my taste in music. So like we get some Weezer in there, we get some
Ah,
AJR, but then it's also frozen. So do you want to build a snowman? Let it go. Some things never change. So it's an interesting mix, but they've got my taste in music, so it's kind of nice.
Yeah, hey, that's what we're here for. We have to, influence our kids. That's the goal.
Yeah. All right. Favorite adult beverage?
Yeah, so I actually like Lagunitas, little something something ale. It's
Okay. Yeah.
in a little beer. I've always enjoyed that beer. It gets you where you need to be too. It's not too expensive, and I think it's flow smooth.
Nice. I don't think I've had that one, but I've at least heard of Lagunitas.
Yeah.
Um, all right. Favorite TV show?
So I don't know if you've heard it. The West Wing is my
Yeah.
favorite TV show.
Nice.
That's as a
Did
history
Aaron
guy.
Sorkin
Yeah.
write that?
He wrote the first 4 seasons, so the first four
Okay.
seasons are really good. It kind of tapers out, and then it gets a little better towards the end. But no, as a history guy, West Wing is kind of where it's at.
Okay. I need to watch that because I love anything that Aaron Sorkin puts out. He is so good.
Yeah, and Martin Sheen's in it. Martin Sheen's one of my favorite old kind of actors there, and like he does
Nice.
a great job.
Awesome. All right. So last two, I'm going to ask you for right now and all time. So first one is favorite defensive player.
So right now, my favorite defensive player is Trevon Diggs, right? I think that's got to be that's an easy pick. Like we finally
Yeah.
have a corner, and we have one of those guys, and I think Diggs is a lot of fun to watch. I love watching him out there. And then, oh man, all
All
time.
time.
This is DeMarcus Ware. I got to go all
Okay.
Cowboys.
Yeah.
I mean, DeMarcus Ware. I think people forget how dominant that guy was.
Yeah.
He was a monster, and I'm just so happy for him that he got a ring with the Broncos when he played with Peyton that year. He had like 140 sacks or whatever it was. Like, I mean, DeMarcus Ware was a stud, and so he was probably my favorite kid. He was kind of that era where I watched it a lot. So DeMarcus Ware.
Nice. Very nice. All right. I think I know the answer to the first half of this question, but favorite offensive player now and all time.
Well, okay, so I'll go off the Cowboys for all time, but for right now, watching CeeDee Lamb is my favorite. I will say Zeke is close. Like Zeke's my dude. Zeke's one of my favorite players ever on the Cowboys. But right now, I just love CeeDee Lamb, and I love just shitting on CeeDee Lamb haters, and it's just disrespectful. CeeDee Lamb is a wide receiver one. I don't know what else I need to say about CeeDee Lamb.
Nothing, because you're absolutely right.
Yeah, I don't know. There's some weird analytic crew out there. All right, now my favorite ever all time is LaDainian Tomlinson.
Oh,
LT.
that's a great pick.
He's my guy, especially I was in high school, obviously, when he was going through the Chargers. That dude was just so dominant in every aspects of the game, and I just love watching him run. And, the LT he's so much fun to watch.
Awesome. Sorry, I was making sure that my phone was not going off because someone was calling me. Couldn't tell. All right. Well, Kev, that wraps up this episode of Kollectiv Knowledge. Before we head out, make sure you guys follow him at DeBoys20_22. And Kev, before we go, anything that you want to plug?
Yeah, no, if you like college football, I definitely want to plug the Devy Royale. It happens every Tuesday night, 9:30 Eastern. You can find us on Twitter at the Devy Royale. And then you can also go to our YouTube channel. We're on there. And you can find on the podcast. And it's on iTunes, Spotify, everywhere. It's the Devy Royale. We do more than just Devy, though. So we're talking college football. So if you enjoyed college football, we go over everything there.
It's really good. I've listened to multiple episodes and was listening to. So I joined Jay Felicio's home league, and it's about a 4-hour drive from my house to his house. So on the way back home, I listened to a couple episodes, and I've listened to it periodically too. You guys are really good and fun to listen to. So I definitely what is the word? Promote the Devy Royale. Like you guys are fun to listen to.
I think, and just to be honest, like I think it's more than just Devy, but at the same time, like we have different takes on how to look at college football. So like Jeff's very different. He's very passionate about college football. He's watched it for like 50 years, guys like 60. And then you have Christian, who's very analytical. He dives into prospects. He's very smart. And then, and I feel like I can lead it pretty well with those guys. So if you like college football in general, and we drop some football knowledge in there, if you like dynasty and stuff, I think it's a very good podcast.
Yep, I completely agree. All right, well, that wraps up this episode of Kollectiv Knowledge. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at FF_collective. That's KOLLECTIV. Like and subscribe on YouTube, the Fantasy Football Collective. You can follow me at FF Shane B. And everyone, have a good night. Cheers.